Alright, I want to talk a minute about some really good classic rock instrumental songs, and I had a couple of criteria when I put this list together. One is that there's no lyrics in the song, and the other one is that there shouldn't be any lyrics in the song. So I don't want to choose instrumental tracks that just sound like they're missing the vocal. I wanted to pick instrumental tracks that you really couldn't imagine there being a decent vocal over them, or the vocal would actually take away from the song. But before we get directly into that discussion, I just want to remind you to hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss any future topic. I've got a lot of really interesting videos coming up, not to mention the ongoing guitarist versus guitarist battle. So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be among the first to know, the first to respond, and the first to vote in the upcoming polls. Alright, so now back to my list of really good classic rock instrumentals, and I don't think these are like the 5 best classic rock instrumentals or anything. They're just 5 that I really, really like, and I have put them in the order of preference going from 5 to 1. So with number 5, I'm going to pick The Gold Bug by the Alan Parsons Project. Now, I could have picked any number of Alan Parsons Project instrumentals: Mama Gamma, iRobot, Lucifer, Sirius. There's so many, Pipeline. There's so many great Alan Parsons Project instrumentals that it's really hard to choose just one. I chose The Gold Bug because for me it's the one that most fully evokes a sense of place and time and story. The other ones are a bit more experimental and vague. It seems like this one's just slightly more concise. Anyway, that's the one I chose, and like I said, I could have chose others. For number 4, I picked Bron Yar, the guitar instrumental by Jimmy Page. It's officially a Led Zeppelin song, but it's really just Jimmy Page. And there are a couple of reasons why I like this one. One is I like the lacy threading together of the overdubbing, the minimalist but highly effective overdubbing. I also like the chord progression, and I like Page's hybrid style of finger picking and flat picking. Not to mention there's a great emotional delivery with this one, and as usual with Page, there's a very strong sense of atmosphere. In this case, it's like a bucolic or peaceful countryside atmosphere, and I really like it. For number 3, I picked YYZ by Rush. Now, Rush has a number of really good instrumentals: La Via Strangiato, Malignant Narcissism, but for me YYZ is their most accomplished one. I'm sure there are people who are going to disagree with me here, but in my opinion YYZ is the one where they showed everything they can do in a most precise and kind of accessible fashion. It doesn't seem overly noodling or overly self-indulgent, and La Via Strangiato is a great piece, but it's uneven. To me, YYZ is strong from the first note to the very last. And for number 2, I picked The Ides of March by Iron Maiden. And one reason I picked this one is because it's so incredibly dramatic, and it has almost the impact of a movie. But the other reason that I picked it is because of all the classic rock instrumentals you're likely to hear, it's the one that seems like it has the least amount of studio influence over it. It sounds like a live take. I'm not sure that it was a one take or a live take with the full band, but it definitely sounds like one. The production was geared to accentuate that aspect of it, and that's unusual, and I just think it kicks ass from beginning to end. The drumming's great on it, the guitar playing's great on it, the bass playing of course is great on it, and yeah, this is one that for me has always stood out. My number 1 classic rock instrumental is Polygap by Jimi Hendrix, and for me there's really no contest. This is the best pure instrumental rock song I think I've ever heard, and the fact that it emerged out of a jam and then Hendrix went back and added a guitar track over the top of that jam just makes it all the much better. So not only is it this great piece of instrumental music, but it's fully spontaneously created in front of your eyes, and Jimmy's playing, it's always inspired and it's always fascinating, and striking, but in this case, all of those aspects, all of the fascination and the startling inventiveness is within the musicality of the song. There's no dive bombs, there's no feedback, there's no effects, there's no playing with his teeth. It's just he loses nothing of his magnitude of genius, but it's all played straight into music rather than theatrics. Now, he did a similar thing when he played the Machine Gun performance at Fillmore East, famously after Bill Graham told him, well, what would be the impact if you didn't do all of these gimmicks and theatrics? Well, Hendrix very deliberately stands there like a statue, playing in one position on the 10th fret for 8 minutes and plays the greatest, blues, rock, psychedelic masterpiece in history. But on Polygap, he's all over the fretboard. He's playing it almost like in a Django Reinhardt or classical musician's level of mastery over the fretboard, but it is still a rock song. Anyway, those are my 5 picks of rock instrumentals, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on my choices as well as your choices. So leave comments in the section below. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.